Alright guys, welcome to the second to last game of the Warhammer Fantasy Battles Masters Tournament in Wellington for New Zealand, and it's Empire against Warriors of Chaos, my old enemy Nicola. Played this guy a couple of times before. You might remember him beating me up in Arch Enemy, and I defeated him, I think, earlier in the year as Dark Elves versus Warriors of Chaos. This guy always plays Warriors of Chaos, and he's great at it. He's an excellent Warriors of Chaos general, but the mission this time is Blood and Glory, which I think is the correct name for the one where you have to capture the standards, or not so much capture the standards, but reduce the number of standards, generals, BSBs in your opponent's army down to such a level that you automatically win the game. Now, this one's a bit of an interesting one because he's got a lot of tough standards to get. I mean, in order to win the scenario, I'm going to actually have to wipe out a couple of his big, tough combat units, which isn't really going to happen, or kill his general and BSB and so forth, which also is a bit of a tall order. The one thing going for me here in this scenario, though, is that his Sorcerer Lord of Tzeentch is riding a horse, and he doesn't have any cavalry in his army except for his Marauder horsemen. So I should be able to snipe him with my cannons, so that's the plan here. I'm not really sure why he's made that blunder in his army list of putting him on a horse, but, you know, it's 8th edition, people forget these things. You've got my guys mainly deployed centrally here with the knights on the right-hand side and infantry on the left-hand side, flagellants in the middle, with the war altar in the middle as well there to try and slow things down, shall we say. Next image shows you the sorcerer, not so much the sorcerer, but the wizard in the tower with the crossbows. I love photos like this. It really gives you a sort of a close-up perspective of these guys as they are watching the tide of darkness come towards their homeland. But man, it's going to be tough stopping those infantry units. There's nothing much I can do about them except slow them down. There's no way I can really beat those guys in close combat. Next image, here is Nicola's forces. He's got the big unit of Marauder warriors with great weapons, mind you, on foot with Mark Tzeentch. Now, they are represented by flagellants, as you guys can see, but they are Marauders with great weapons and Mark Tzeentch in the forest. And I think he's luckily he didn't roll that difficult terrain version of the forest, but I think this forest is simply an abyssal wood, which makes you cause fear. So that's what's going on there. My first turn, I move up with the flagellants, or at least during the vanguard phase of it, and start blapping away with the pistols, gunning down many of his riders there. And the plan really is just to shoot at the Marauder unit for as long as I can before finally redirecting it and buying myself a turn or two. Next image, his Hell Cannon, which during the first turn was wounded by my wizard, casting, I think it was the Penumbral Pendulum, with Irresistible Force. Really a big mistake. I shouldn't have chosen that spell. I actually thought that spell was more like Crack's Call, where you take an initiative test or die, but in this case it's take an initiative test or suffer a strength 10 hit with D3 wounds, which was pitiful really against this thing. I only inflicted 1 wound against it, and now it's moving up into the hill ready to go over and eat my knights, which I'm not particularly happy about. But the main thing is just to keep my standards alive, because if I can again score a narrow loss, narrow victory, a draw, it means I will win because of the comp score bonus, which is in effect during this tournament. I love the photo though. Next up, we've got units marching forward. Nicola's sent his big unit of Chaos Chosen of Tzeentch with the Banner of Range and Hellbirds. Man, those guys are scary. Right in front of my War Altar. So the plan for me is to charge him in the following turn and force him to attack with his champion due to the having to challenge rule. And what I'll do there is try not use my hammer of my mace of Hellstorm, and hopefully the Arc Lector won't actually kill the champion, thus forcing him to only direct the champion's attacks against the War Altar for round after round, allowing me to just hold them up for a while. But as soon as the Arc Lector accidentally, I say, kills the champion, then it's all over, because those guys are going to start chopping me up big time. Next image, he'd moved his Hell Cannon and his Marauders into such a position that my knights didn't really have anywhere to go, and I didn't want to engage his Hell Cannon head-on because the chances of me beating the Hell Cannon in the long run were not that good. However, he made a critical mistake here, and that's in his positioning. And when I did some measurements, I realized that if I marched my guys full speed ahead, I could actually get them to such a point ahead that I could get out of his line of sight, his arc, so he wouldn't be able to charge me, and save and prevent him from really making use of his Hell Cannon for a little while. So that's exactly what I did. As you can see, my movement tray's based half on the hill there and half on some dice counters and things. So pretty proud of myself for coming out with that little evasive maneuver, but a bit more of a mistake on my opponent's behalf, really, not really taking that into calculation. Next photo, as we see the Waralter charges in here, and you may wonder whether he has to use the mace, but we checked the rules, and it clearly says that I think you may use the mace, or you can use the mace to reduce your attacks to 1 and have strength 10 with D6 wounds. Well, I chose not to. It seems implied from the rules that I can choose that, and just attacking that champion with his 2 attacks at strength 4 meant that he didn't actually kill the champion in the first round, and that slows his chosen unit up, the very scary, quite good-looking chosen unit up, but very scary nonetheless. They are slowing down. Next photo is a picture of me, and guess what's just happened? I fired my cannons at his Sorcerer Lord and killed him, and gosh, I was so happy. Oh man, I just had the sinking feeling that either my cannons would both misfire and blow up, or I'd fail to wound rolling a 1, or he'd get a 6 on his ward save, or I'd roll the d6 wounds and only get 1 wound, and his Sorcerer Lord would just go on to gateway my cannons or something. But there I am. I'm just stoked that I've managed to kill his general. It means that I'll have so many points from killing that general that it's unlikely that I'm going to lose the game now, because once the points are taken into effect at the end, I'm going to have that comp boost. So there I am, really happy about killing his general. Next photo. Alright, so the Hell Cannons move straight ahead forward. I've got the Flagellants there in his direct path, so the Flagellants can now move out of the way. The cannon, can do what it likes, because eventually those Marauder Cavalry are going to come around the side and attack it. But now that the Sorcerer Lord's been killed, it doesn't really matter too much. Going to the next image, he's still unrelentingly moving forward here. His Marauders are getting shot at very badly. He's down to a 42 from 50. So I just keep shooting at them with the Pistoliers and the Handgunners, and I've got a few turns to redirect him, get him in the way before he starts attacking the Swordsman and getting my banners for the victory. And that's what's happening there. Next image, the Knights now moving around to the side, getting ready to either charge the War Shrine or the side of his Chaos Warriors. If I could kill the Chaos Warrior unit, that would be it, because I'd get his BSB as well as that standard. So that would be nice, but in the meantime I've put the Flagellants in their way so that the Flagellants can just hold that unit up as long as I can. And I've got the Wizard safely in the building. Unfortunately, earlier in the game when the Wizard shot at the Hell Cannon with the Pendulum, I miscast, and that of course meant that his Infernal Puppet could take me up to minus D3 Wizard levels, which was all of them. So at this point I'm not really getting the +2 out of anything or got any Wizard spells, but luckily also he's lost his Wizard as well. Next image, Flagellants in combat here against the Warriors. The War Shrine has jumped in as well. As you can see, it's actually a Stegodon, but he's using it to represent a War Shrine. He calls it the Buff Cow or something like that, the War Cow, Shrine Cow, I'm not really sure. But at any rate, the Flagellants taking massive casualties here and only inflicting small amounts of damage to the Warriors, who of course marked Zinch, and I've got the 5+ ward save against my flail attacks. Next image, the cannon crew have been assaulted by these Marauders. I had some crossbows in the building shooting at them. I didn't manage to pick them off, so unfortunately he's got me here, losing 1 cannon, but at this stage, not too big of a deal. Next image, critically here, the Wizard has left the building so that I can actually put him in the way of some enemy troops, and also later on I'll be able to move out of the building with the crossbows and put something else in there, which will actually play an important part in my game plan later on. Unfortunately for the Waralter though, he's finally managed to accidentally kill the chosen champion, meaning that his guys will be smacking me with Hellbirds now, and because I've got the Banner of Rage, that's going to be there'll be a lot of hits on me. Next image, his big unit of Marauders with great weapons has been redirected by my unit of Handgunners. I think the guys with the pistols have run away. He's finally actually managed to munch my my War Shrine in this picture. Not my War Shrine, my War Altar. So his Hellbird chosen aren't too far away. So I'm going to have to send something in at them. If you go to the next photo, though, you can actually see where the positioning of the Wizard is relative to them. In this photo, I'm actually being assaulted in the building by the the Chaos Warriors with hand weapon shields there, and for some reason he didn't manage to actually kill all of my crossbows. He didn't quite do enough damage. So that's a huge stroke of luck for me, because that means I can move out of the building with them and move into the building with the swordsman. Cool thing is, though, that the wizard, if you go to this next picture, is in just the right position to actually get in the way of the chosen. So as you can see here, I can send one unit of swordsman up against the marauders, and the other unit of swordsman with a BSB in it can get out of the way. And if you go to the next picture, that's exactly what happens here, because the wizard goes in front of the chosen. Because they're frenzied, if they charge him, they'll have to go directly forward, and that will allow him, will buy me time to actually get in the building, as you can see here, with the swordsman and the battle standard bearer. In the background, the knights have actually charged the hell cannon and victoriously destroying it. With some stroke of luck, I actually got soulfire off that a wound. The knights took off the rest of it, so -1 hell cannon attacking the war shrine now. And Woody charged the building here. Obviously, he won combat with his warriors, but it was a rerollable leadership 8 check, which I passed. And of course, the wizard diverting the chosen heroically out of the way, bringing us to this next photo, in fact the final photo, where in my final turn I moved the swordsman out of the building, meaning that he can't follow up and charge me the final turn, moving the knights out of the way of any sort of danger. The crossbowmen are running away with their points intact. On the left-hand side of the field, the pistoliers have fled but then rallied, and the final unit of swordsmen in the corner were crushed mercilessly. But this gives me the victory, because although he's got, I think, slightly more points than me on the board, I get the huge army composition boost from the tournament rules, and it puts me ahead. And I've got to say, I had to play as well as I possibly could that game. Didn't make too many mistakes there, and pulled off some really interesting maneuvers, getting me the victory. So really happy with myself for the way I played there, and really managed to grab it. So hope you guys enjoyed that. We're going to come up with the final game of the tournament next.